Okay, so right here we have a PT-34L mine rolling tank, and this comes with Bounding Fire Productions, Onslaught to Orsha. Has a 76L gun with one rate of fire, 2 machine guns, a 2 and a 4 for the bow and coax, respectively, 11.6 armor, and 14 movement points. Now notice there's a star by the 11, the frontal armor. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, so let's take a look at our situation. We have one German anti-tank gun, some anti-tank ditches, some wire, some more anti-tank ditches. So they're going to be coming through here. 3 Russian T-34s with the Minerollers on them. One of them is crew exposed. So this is how the procedure works. The Russians are going to try and rush through the wire. Unbeknownst to them, there are minefields. There are anti-tank and anti-personnel mines in the hex. So this is what's going to happen. The Russians will start here. It's their movement phase. Let's assume they're all in motion. And this Russian is going to go into the wire. So the first thing that happens is the German does announce that there are mines. He does not have to say what kind, but there are mines in the hex. So at that point, the Russian tank spends all of its movement points in that hex. It starts by rolling a bog roll. Now, here are the modifiers for it. There is a +2 for ground pressure. There is a +2 for wire, and there is a +1 for this particular type of tank by special rule. So if they roll a 7 or more, they're going to be bogged. Now there's an exception to that. If on the colored die it's a 1 or a 2, they are not bogged and the wire is removed. So let's say they roll an 8, but it's a 2, 6. Then even though that will put them at a 13 with their modifiers and bog them, because they rolled a 1 or a 2 on the colored die, you ignore the fact that they're bogged and you remove the wire completely. So let's pretend for the sake of argument that they do remove the wire. Okay, wire's gone. Now they spend the rest of the turn in motion in that hex. And during the close combat phase, they are going to have an attempt to remove the wires that are in there. We can, the minefield that's in there. So we can put a little minefield there just to remind us. Okay, the next tank comes in and he goes through the wire. He goes 1, 2, 3 into the wire. Same thing, the German announces that it's minefield. So at that point, they have to button up and they spend the rest of their movement phase, actually the rest of their turn in that hex. They roll for bog again, and lucky enough, they clear it. All right, it's gone. So now the last tank is coming through. So he spent 1, 2, 3. He spent 3 movement factors to get in there. This guy will come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's start him 1 back here. It's a couple back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He comes in, same thing, and he clears the wire. He spends the rest of his movement phase in there, also in motion. So, but let's pretend that when he was back here, the German took a shot at him. So the German normally would need, let's put him over here, I guess. He's coming this way. The German would need, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away, so it'll be a 9. He's moving. So he would normally need, the German would need a 7 to hit him. So he rolls a 7, he rolls the dice, and lo and behold, he rolls a 7. So let's just get those dice that I just rolled out, and he rolls a 7. Well, do you remember when I mentioned the star next to the 11? What that means is, if it's the frontal covered arc, you're going to add a +2 to the 2 hit dice roll. So that becomes a 9 he rolled, +2 for moving, that makes an 11. It's actually a miss. So he did miss. Now, let's reverse that. Had that been a 7 this way, then it's a turret hit. The +2 modifier does not occur, and so it is a hit. Okay, so let's say he missed, but he kept the rate of fire. I don't know how he kept rate of fire with a 6, but let's pretend he kept rate of fire. Okay, now he goes here, and he goes in here. He clears the German announces there are mines in the hex. He clears the wire. We're just going to say he cleared the wire. And now the German takes another shot at him because he kept rate of fire. Well, now he rolls the same thing again. He rolls a 6 and a 1, which is what he needed, a 7. Well, the +2, even though it's a hull hit, the +2 does not apply anymore because it is no longer through the front covered arc. So he's hitting him on the side, so we forget about that +2. So either turret hit, hull hit, it is still a hit. Okay, so now they make it in. They are all still in motion and trying to clear, albeit slow motion, they are trying to clear those 3 minefields. Let me just mark them for fun, so we don't forget. All right, now we go through the rest of the phases and we come to the close combat phase. Now each one of them needs to roll a 10 or less in order to create a trail break through the minefield. So far, I forgot to mention this, when they entered, they created a partial trail break through the minefield. So if they can roll a 10 or less, they get to clear create a complete trail break through the minefield. They get to exit wherever they wanted that trail break to exit. So if they roll a 10 or less, they've got a trail break. If they roll an 11 or more, then they have damaged their mine roller and they cannot repair it, and they will have a choice next turn to either stop, start in reverse, get out, or through the trail break that they created, or the partial trail break that they created, or they can keep going forward and risk the mine attack, whether it be AT or AP, whatever happens to be in there. So here are the modifiers. Oh, and if they roll a natural 12, not a final 12 or greater, but a natural 12, the tank is destroyed if there were anti-tank mines in the hex, and the tank is immobilized if there were anti-personnel mines in the hex. So let's roll for each, and here are the modifiers. If the tank spent all of their movement points to get in, then there are no modifiers to the roll. If they spent less than half to get in, then there is a +2 to the roll. And if they spent less than half to get in, more than half to get in, whoops, that's a bad omen. If they spent more than half to get in, then before they got in, then there's a +4 on the dice. So we'll roll for each one, and here we go, and the first one rolls a 9. So a 9 is less than 10. There are no modifiers because he spent all of his movement points to get in. There's a trail break. I'll remove this, but it's really not removed, but there is a trail break. Okay, the next guy has to roll, and he is going to have a +2 on his dice, and he also rolls a 9. So the +2 means that he rolled an 11, and his mine roller is damaged. Let's pretend he rolled a 10 though, because I want to show you that there is no difference. If he had rolled a 9, 10, or 11, then that would be an 11 or greater, and his mine roller is damaged. All right, then the last tank, he's going to roll, and oh wow, wouldn't you know it, he rolled a 12. So the German announces, yes, indeed, there are anti-tank mines in there, and the tank is destroyed. And remember, had there only been anti-personnel mines, he would only be immobilized, no longer in motion. And then the next Russian turn, they can move out. This one can move out through the trail break he created. Let's say it was there. This one can either back out safely, or he can continue. This is still a minefield. He can continue through the minefield and take the attack. Let's say there's 2 mines, anti-tank mines in it. He rolls a 4, he's safely out. So, and if there's anti-personnel mines in there, then you roll for that as well. And then they continue. And that's about it. That's as easy as it gets. So I hope it was easy to understand, and thanks for watching.